Okay, let's get into the world news. Please tell me the world news headlines of the day, please.
Absolutely. Here's a quick rundown of the big world news today. In Sudan, there's concern because the Rapid Support Forces have taken over a city called El Fasher.
Are the
Over in
rapid
Jamaica-
support services, how are they viewed by the public?
Yeah. The Rapid Support Forces are kind of a controversial group. Some people see them as a stabilizing force, but a lot of others view them pretty negatively because of their history and their involvement in past conflicts, especially in Darfur. So overall, public opinion is pretty divided, and a lot of people are wary of them.
What is the government of Sudan saying?
Yeah, so the Sudanese government is basically condemning what the RSF is doing. They're calling it an unlawful takeover, and they're definitely not on board with it. So there's a lot of tension between government and the RSF right now over what's going on.
Okay, what are some other headlines in the news today?
Sure thing. A few other headlines today. In Mexico, a journalist who covered drug cartels was sadly found murdered. Over in Jamaica, is now a Category 5 storm, and they're evacuating people in Kingston.
Jamaica, how many people live in Kingston?
So Kingston, Jamaica has a population of around 600,000 people or so.
And how many people are being evacuated?
So it looks like Jamaican authorities have opened around 900 shelters, and they've issued mandatory evacuations in a number of areas, including parts of Kingston like Port Royal.
When is Hurricane Melissa scheduled to make landfall?
Hurricane Melissa is expected to make landfall early tomorrow. So basically on Tuesday.
Okay, what else is in the news?
Sure. A couple more headlines in the day. In Cameroon, their 92-year-old president just got reelected, and that's causing some protests because he's been in power for a very long time. And of course, we have that Murray cod in Australia making waves.
Sorry. He's 92. How long has he been in power?
Yeah, that's right. He's 92, and he's been in power for decades, like over 40 years. So it's definitely been a really long tenure, which is why some people are protesting the re-election.
And does he still seem to be mentally sharp?
Yeah. From what we know, he actually does still seem to be pretty sharp and active in politics.
And what's the population think? Where are they thinking? Do they like him? Do they not like him? What's going on there?
Yeah, so the population is pretty divided on that. Some people support him, maybe because he's been a stable figure for a long time, but a lot of others are frustrated because he's been in power for so many decades. So there's definitely a mix of opinions and some real opposition to him staying in power this long.
Okay, what are some other headlines of the day? What's this about a fish in Australia swimming or something? You were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That was the Murray cod in Australia that made a splash by swimming a record 530 miles upstream.
And why is that so special? I mean, fish swim. What's so big about this? They don't normally swim that much, or what?
Yeah, exactly. You've got it. Basically, Murray cod usually don't travel anywhere near that far. So this one fish doing a kind of marathon journey is a record breaker for its species. And
do they have any prediction as to why it travels so far?
Yeah, so the scientists think it might have been looking for better breeding grounds or maybe more food sources. Fish sometimes do these long journeys when they're trying to find the best spot to spawn or just a better habitat. So it's kind of a mystery, but those are some of the guesses they have.
Okay, what are some other news headlines of the day?
Sure. Just to give you a quick rundown of a few more headlines. In Sudan, the Rapid Support Forces took control of a city called El Fasher, which has people worried about the civilians there. Over in Mexico, a journalist who reported...
Sorry. Darfur, who is taking over Darfur?
Oh, no worries. So it's the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, who have taken control of a city in the Darfur region. They're a paramilitary group in Sudan, and their move has raised a lot of concerns about what might happen to the civilians there.
And how are they formed? How was that group formed?
Yeah, so the Rapid Support Forces actually grew out of militia groups that were involved in the Darfur conflict. They were originally known as the Janjaweed militias, and over time they got reorganized and integrated into a more formal paramilitary group.
So what does the Darfur government think of this?
Yeah, so the Sudanese government is
Sudanese, sir.
Sure, absolutely. So the Sudanese government definitely isn't on board with what the RSF is doing. They see it as an unlawful power grab, and they're condemning it. So basically, there's a lot of tension between the government and the RSF over what's going on in Darfur.
Okay, so what are some other news headlines of the day? We got about 2 minutes left.
Sure. Just to wrap up with a few more headlines, President Trump is in Tokyo, meeting with Japan's emperor and prime minister, before he heads to a summit with China's president.
What are they going to be talking about in Japan?
Yeah, so in Japan, they're basically going to be talking about strengthening U.S.-Japan relations before Trump meets with China's president.
So how could U.S.-Japan relations be strengthened? Like trade, or what are they talking about specifically?
Yeah, exactly. It's mostly about trade, security, and just overall cooperation. They might talk about trade deals, defense ties, or even shared concerns about the region. So it's kind of about making sure the U.S. and Japan are on the same page before any big talks with China.
And what is expected to be talked about in China?
Yeah, so when they meet with China, it's probably going to be a lot about trade tensions, tariffs, and all those economic issues that have been going on for a while. They might also talk about regional security stuff or any areas where they need to find common ground. So it's kind of a mix of trade and security topics.
I heard something about a Russian missile test. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Russia recently tested a nuclear-powered missile called the Burevestnik. It's basically a really long-range missile that can fly for a super long time.
How long? How long can it fly? Can it reach anywhere on the world?
Yeah, pretty much. The whole idea with these nuclear-powered missiles is that they can fly almost indefinitely and reach pretty much anywhere on the globe. So it's a really long-range capability that they were demonstrating.
So what has other countries in the world said about this? Major players, what have they said?
Yeah, so the U.S. has definitely criticized the test, basically saying that Russia should be focusing on other things like ending conflicts instead of building new weapons. China is kind of calling for calm and saying everyone should stick to arms control agreements. So overall, it's definitely raised some eyebrows internationally.
Okay, great. Thanks for the news.